I wasn't by the door. Hello, my lovelies. Oh, my voice has gone funny again. Hello. So, if you've watched my video before this one, I was in the kitchen on the Pink channel, putting away my shopping that Mr. Producer nipped out and got for me. Yes, I made myself a cup of tea. So, I'm just going to have a quick drink of that because my voice has gone funny. It has. Excuse me. Tea break. Yeah. So, as you all know, we've been really poorly, me and Mr. Producer. Hence why we've been a bit incognito over here on our YouTube. The beauty of Mr. Producer being poorly, though, is he's been watching random stuff on the telly. Very random, yes. He watched a conference, was it, the other week, by the creator of the net, Tim Berners. He wants to change it. He wants to reevaluate it all. So he sent letters out last year to all the main people, all the main corporates, and sorted it all out, and he's started the ball rolling. So now all new terms and conditions are coming through from different websites and things like that. Well, we've just had one through from Twitter. And I want to sit down and read you, because nobody else does this. Nobody else well, to be fair, 9 times out of 10, I just click the box saying that I've read it. You do, because it's like 20 pages long. Who wants to read that, yeah? But if things are changing, we need to start reading the terms and conditions. So, instead of you guys needing to read your Twitter terms and conditions, I thought I would read them for you and learn them myself. Mr. Producer will no doubt have questions throughout the talk. So, yes, please hold your questions till the end. He's not laughing. Or put them in the comments below. Yes, right, I'm going to sit down and do this. I have looked, and it is a long one, so get ready. I will be drinking quite a bit of tea in the process. Right, so I've got my phone. Here we go. So we got this through on Adelesexyuk USA first, so we thought we'd do that one. So Twitter terms of service. Am I sat right for you, Mr. Producer? Am I facing you? Because are you ready for the story of the terms and service of Twitter? Yeah. Pardon? The Vimble. What do you mean the Vimble? What's wrong with the Vimble? Huh? Vimble might die. You want to shoot the Vimble? Why? It's shaking. Are you sure it's not you shaking? Are you going to be okay stood up there for all this time? Do you need a seat? Are you sure? Got to look after him, you know. Right. So it says, we have made some updates to our terms of service. The updated terms of service will go into effect on January the 1st, 2020. You can find a copy of the updated terms of service at the top of this page, followed by the current terms of services below. So does that mean that the one I'm about to read out is the current one? Wait there. And I think this is only if you live in the United States. Anyway, Twitter terms of service. Right. If you live outside the European Union, we may soon, or European Economic Area, including the United States, the Twitter user agreement comprises these terms of service, our privacy policy, the Twitter rules and policies, and all incorporated policies. Please don't tell me you've got a question already. That's all right then. If you live in the European Union or European Economic Area, the Twitter user agreement comprises of these and all incorporated policies. So Twitter terms of service. If you live out, I'm repeating myself here. If you live outside the European Union or the European Economic Area, including the United States, these terms of services govern your access to and use of our services, including our various websites, SMS, APIs, email, notifications, applications, buttons, widgets, ads, commerce, services, and other covered services that link to these terms, and any information, text, links, graphics, photos, audio, videos, or other materials or arrangements of materials uploaded, downloaded, or appearing on the services. By using the services, you agree to be bound by these terms. So basically, anything you do on their site, this is what you have to abide by. Right. Who may use this service? You may use the service only if you agree to form a binding contract with Twitter and are not a person barred from receiving services under the laws of the applicable jurisdiction. This is really going to test how I speak here. In any case, you must be at least 13 years old, or in the case of Periscope, 16 years old. Oh, I didn't know you had to be 13 to use Twitter. To use the services, if you're accepting these terms and using the services on behalf of a company, organisation, government or other legal entity, you represent and warrant that you are authorised to do so and have the authority to bind such entity to these terms, in which case the words you and your, as used in these terms, shall refer to such entity. Privacy. Our privacy policy describes how we handle the information you provide to us when you use our services. You understand that through your use of the services, you consent to the collection and use of this information, including the transfer of this information to the United States, Ireland and or other countries for storage. I've got a glitter on my face. Processing and use by Twitter and its affiliates. Content on the services. You are responsible for your use of the services and for any content you provide, including compliance with applicable laws, rules and regulations. You should only provide content that you are comfortable sharing with others. Any use or reliance on any content or materials posted via the services or obtained by you through the services is at your own risk. We do not endorse, support, represent or guarantee the completeness, truthfulness, accuracy or reliability of any content or communications posted by the services or endorse any opinions expressed via the services. Wow, that's one way to sit on the fence. Twitter sits on the fence. They don't go that way, or they don't go that way, they go that way. I like that. That's quite good. We need to stop with that. You understand that by using the services, you may be exposed to content that might be offensive, harmful, inaccurate, or otherwise inappropriate, or in some cases, postings that have been mislabeled or otherwise deceptive. All content is the sole responsibility of the person who originated such content. We may not monitor or control the content posted via the services, and we cannot take responsibility for such content. What? We reserve the right to remove content that violates the user agreement, including, for example, copyright or trademark violations, or other intellectual property misappropriation, impersonation, unlawful conduct, or harassment. Information regarding specific policies and the process for reporting or appealing violations can be found in our help centre, and they give you a link to click. If you believe that your content has been copied in a way that constitutes copyright infringement, please report this by visiting our copyright reporting form or contacting our designated copyright agent. Ooh, he lives in San Francisco. San Francisco. Yes. You don't want the address, do you? Yeah. There's two. Oh, one's for Periscope and one's for Twitter itself. The two companies that have merged together so you can go live on Twitter. Whenever you go live on Twitter, you're using Periscope. So I've used Periscope because I've gone live on Twitter a couple of times. So Periscope has their own terms of services, as well as following Twitter one. You'd think they'd be together, but they're not. Your rights and grant of rights in the content. What's that mean? I have more questions than you. You retain your rights to any content you submit, post or display on or through the services. What's yours is yours. You own your content, and your incorporated audio, photos and videos are considered part of that content. By submitting, posting or displaying content on or through the services, you grant us a worldwide non-exclusive royalty-free license with the right to sub-license to use, copy, reproduce, process, adapt, modify, publish, transmit, display and distribute such content in any and all media or distribution methods now known or later developed. I thought it was mine. How can they do all that? Okay. For clarity, these rights include, for example, curating, transforming and translating. Do you think they've just put every single word in there so then people can't say, well, you didn't say that one? Yeah? No. The license authorizes us to make your content available to the rest of the world and to let others do the same. Alright, so you can retweet, or they can retweet, or they can put it on a fan page, things like that. Yeah. You agree with that with this license includes the right for Twitter to provide, promote and improve the services and to make content submitted to or through the services available to other companies, organisations or individuals for the syndication, broadcast, distribution, retweet, promotion or publication of such content on other media and services, subject to our terms and conditions for such content use. Such additional uses by Twitter or other companies, organisations or individuals is made with no compensation paid to you with respect to the content that you submit, post, transmit or otherwise make available through the services, as the use of the services by you is hereby agreed as being sufficient compensation for the content and grant of rights herein. Right there. So, where was I? There. Twitter has an evolving set of rules for how ecosystem partners can interact with your content on the services. These rules exist to enable an open ecosystem with your rights in mind. You understand that we may modify or adapt your content as it is distributed, syndicated, published or broadcast by us and our partners, and or make changes to your content in order to adapt the content to different media. You represent and warrant that you have or obtained all rights, licenses, consents, permissions, power and authority necessary to grant the rights granted herein for any content that you submit, post or display on or through the services. You agree that such content will not contain material subject to copyright or other proprietary rights, unless you have necessary permission or are otherwise legally entitled to post the material to grant Twitter the license described above. That was number 3. Yeah, got that? Sure. It seemed a bit like they swallowed a thesaurus and just put every single word in that means the same thing. Using number 4, the 6 I think altogether. Using the services. Please review the Twitter rules and policies and for Periscope, which are part of the user agreement and outline what is prohibited on the services. You may use the services only in compliance with these terms and all applicable laws, rules and regulations. I'm going to put negotiations in. Our services evolve constantly. As such, the services may change from time to time at our discretion. We may stop permanently or temporarily providing the services or any features within the service to you or to others generally. We also retain the right to create limits on use and storage at our sole discretion at any time. We may also remove or refuse to distribute any content on the services, limit distribution or visibility of any content on the service, suspend or terminate users, reclaim usernames without liability to you. So in other words, they can just go, bye. Pardon? Liberty. Liability. Limited. It means you won't get as many views on your tweets and things like that. They can restrict it if they want to. Sounds familiar. Hold you down. In consideration for Twitter granting you access to and use of the services, you agree that Twitter and its third-party providers and partners may place advertising on the services or in connection with the display of content or information from the services, whether submitted by you or others. You also agree not to misuse our services, for example, by interfering with them or accessing them using a method other than the interface and the instructions that we provide. You may not do any of the following while accessing or using the services. Access, tamper with, or use non-public areas of the services. So in other words, you can't hack it. Yeah? Twitter's computer systems or the technical delivery system of Twitter's providers. Probe, scan, or test the vulnerability of any system or network, or breach or circumvent any security or authentication measures. Access or search or attempt to access or search the services by any means, other than through our currently available published interfaces that are provided by Twitter, and only pursuant to the applicable terms and conditions, unless you have been specifically allowed to do so in a separate agreement with Twitter. Note: crawling the services is permissible if done in accordance with the provisions of the robot's text file. However, scrapping the services without the prior consent of Twitter is expressly prohibited. Forge any TCP/IP packet header or any part of the header information in any email or posting, or in any way use the services to send altered, deceptive, or false source identifying information, or interfere with, or disrupt, or attempt to do so, the access of any user, host, or network, including without limitation, sending a virus, overloading, flooding, spamming, mail bombing the services, or by scripting the creation of content in such a manner as to interfere with or create an undue burden on the services. That was one sentence. We also reserve the right to access, read, preserve, and disclose any information as we reasonably believe is necessary to satisfy any applicable law, regulation, legal process, or governmental request, enforce the terms, including investigation of potential violations hereof, detect, prevent, or otherwise address fraud, security, or technical issues, respond to user requests, or protect the rights, property, or safety of Twitter, its users, and the public. Twitter does not disclose personally identifying information to third parties except in accordance with our privacy policy. If you use developer features in your services, including but not limited to, and then it has a list. You want to reproduce, modify, create, or derivative works, distribute, sell, transfer, publicly display, publicly perform, transmit, or otherwise use services or content on the services, you must use the interfaces and instructions we provide, except as permitted through the Twitter services. These terms are the terms provided on devtwitter.com. If you're a security researcher, you're required to comply with the rules of the Twitter. The requirements set out in the preceding paragraph may not apply to those participating in Twitter's vulnerability reporting program. Okay. If you use advertising features of the services, you must agree to our Twitter Master Services Agreement. Your account. You may need to create an account to use some of our services. I thought you had to create an account anyway. You are responsible for safeguarding your account, so use a strong password and limit its use to this account. We cannot and will not be liable for any loss or damage arising from your failure to comply with the above, obviously. You can control most communications from the services. We may need to provide you with certain communications such as service announcements and administrative messages. These communications are considered part of the services of your account. You may not be able to opt out from receiving them. If you added your phone number to your account and you later change or deactivate that phone number, you must update your account information to help prevent us from communicating with anyone who requires your own number. That would be quite funny. Hello? Yes, this is Twitter. I just want to talk to Adelesexyuk. Who? That would be quite funny. Not as if my number ever was going to change. I like my number. Your license to use the service. Twitter gives you a personal, worldwide, royalty-free, non-assignable and non-exclusive license to use the software provided to you as part of the services. This license has the sole purpose of enabling you to use and enjoy the benefit of the services as provided by Twitter in the manner permitted by these terms. Yeah? The services are protected by copyright, trademark, and other laws of both the United States and other countries. Nothing in the terms gives you a right to use the Twitter name or any of the Twitter trademarks, logos, domain names, other distinctive brand features, and other proprietary rights. All right, title, and interest into the services are and will remain the exclusive property of Twitter and its licenses. We are okay to advertise it, aren't we? With the Twitter. Yeah, you can advertise it, can't you? Like on my YouTube art above, I've got the Twitter logo there that you click on and it takes you to my Twitter. You're allowed to do that though, aren't you? That's the same thing, isn't it? Ending these terms. You may end your legal agreement with Twitter at any time by deactivating your account and discontinuing your use of the services. For instructions on how to deactivate your account and the privacy policy for more information on what happens to your information. You may suspend or terminate your account or cease providing you with all parts of the services at any time for any or no reason, including but not limited to, if we reasonably believe you have violated these terms or the Twitter rules and policies or Periscope community guidelines, you create risk or possible legal exposure for us, your account should be removed due to prolonged inactivity. Yes, there was having a purge at the moment. This is why we've got this. Because our predominant Twitter is Adelesexyuk, but I do have a Twitter for Adelesexyuk USA, for Adele UK Gamer. I have another one. Do I have another one? Oh, Amber Pamper has one, yeah. Right. So it's like they do have their own Twitters, but because I predominantly use Adelesexyuk, I don't log into the others as often as I should. So they've been having a purge. So we've had an email to them all going, "You've not logged on. Are you alive? Do you still want it?" So we've logged on, we've done the terms of services, and this is why we're getting the new terms of services through, because we've logged onto the account again. So that's a bit of a background there. Right. We will make reasonable efforts to notify you by email address associated with your account or the next time you attempt to access your account, depending on the circumstances. In all such cases, the term shall terminate, including without limitation, your licensed user services, except that the following sections shall continue to apply. For the avoidance of doubt, these terms survive the deactivation or termination of your account. Right, number 5. That was all number 4. Number 5. Disclaimers and limitations of liability. Your access to and use of the services or any content are at your own risk. Right, that's it, don't need to read the rest. You understand and agree that the services are provided to you as is and as available basis. The Twitter entities, related companies, officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, partners, licensors, without limiting the foregoing to maximum extent permitted under applicable law, the Twitter entitles disclaim all warranties and conditions, whether express or implied, of merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, or non-infringement. Okay. Limitation of liability. To the maximum extent permitted by... This is done in capitals. This bit's wrote in capitals. All the others was wrote in small. No, but these bits are wrote in capitals. So you've got to listen to these bits. To the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, the Twitter entities shall not be liable for any indirect, incidental, special consequential or punitive damages, or any loss of profits or revenues, whether incurred directly or indirectly, or any loss of data, use, goodwill, or other intangible losses resulting from your access to or use of your inability to access or use of services. Basically, you can't sue them if they delete your account. Basically. Any conduct or content of any third party on the services, including without limitation, any defamatory, offensive, or illegal conduct to other users or third parties. Any content obtained from the services, unauthorized access, use of alternative of your transmissions or content, in no event shall the aggregate liability of the Twitter entitles exceed the greater of $100 US $100, or the amount you pay Twitter. We don't pay Twitter. If any in the past 6 months for the services given rise to the claim, the limitations of this subsection shall apply to any theory of liability, whether based on warranty, contract, statute, tort, including negligence or otherwise, and whether or not the Twitter entities have been informed of the possibility of any such damage, and even if a remedy set forth herein is found to have failed of its essential purpose. Number 6. General. We may revise these terms from time to time. The changes will not be retroactive, and the most current version of the terms, which will always be at twitter.com/TOS, will govern our... Why did I just do that? TOS. Will govern our relationship with you. We will try to notify you of material revisions, for example, via a service notification or an email to the email associated with your account. By continuing to access or use the services after those revisions become effective and you agree to be bound by the revised terms. The laws of the state of California, excluding its choice of law provisions, will govern these terms, any dispute that arises between you and Twitter. If you're a federal, state, or local government entity in the United States using the services in your official capacity and legally unable to accept the controlling law, jurisdiction, or venue clauses above, then those clauses do not apply to you. So if you don't accept them, they don't apply to you. Okay. For such U.S. federal government entities, these terms of any action related thereto will be governed by the laws of the United States of America. In the event that any provision of these terms is held to be invalid or unenforceable, then that provision will be limited or eliminated to the minimum extent necessary, and the remaining provisions of these terms will remain in full force and effect. Twitter's failure to enforce any right or provision of these terms will not be deemed a waiver of such right or provision. And that's it. Yeah. I think. Is that it? Have I read about privacy? Yeah, I think they just repeated themselves again. Yeah, I've read all that. Read that. Yep, read all that. Yeah. So don't forget, the new terms and agreement will start on the 1st of January 2020. So not long. It is the 6th of December. So in what, 24 days? 24 days, it will be New Year's Day, and it will be the start of the new agreement. So when you probably log on to Twitter on the 1st of January 2020, you'll probably have to do accept on the new terms and services. You don't need to read them. I've just read them. Woohoo! Yay! It's always good to read them yourselves, because you might be able to understand it better than when I'm reading it to you. But yes, what do they mean? I don't know. I think it's good. It's just terms and services are good because they tell you that they will help you if you get copyrighted and things like that. But terms and services is to cover their own backsides, basically. Pardon? They're limited. That's the same for any. They get to pick and choose. Always. Every website can do it. YouTube does it. Instagram does it. All of them do it. Instagram has recently taken off the likes as well, off the posts. So that's taken that off straight away. Because then you can't see how many likes you get on a post on Instagram anymore. Because they've taken it off because they thought it was bad for people. Because they were trying to do different things to get the better likes and all this lot. But yeah, you've got to be very careful anyway, I think. And it's the same with anything. You just got to be yourself, be happy, and crack on. Terms and services are just to cover their website's own bums. Simple as that. It is. Terms and services of Adelesexyuk UK. Be happy. Yes. Right. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. I'm going to go and rest my voice now. I think we're going to do a couple on Patreon now. Yes, we are. So if you want to come and check those videos out, Google me, Adelesexyuk UK Patreon, or come through the links that are on my Twitter and my Instagram, at Adelesexyuk UK. Not allowed to put the link anymore on YouTube, so make sure you come through my Twitter and my Instagram, or Google it, Adelesexyuk UK Patreon. Give it a like, give my YouTube channels a subscribe, and come on over and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget to accept the terms and conditions, because it's a law-binding contract. Yes. See you soon, my lovelies. Goodbye.